everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Mika Wilkerson Show. I am here today with the League of Women Voters, the Executive Director, Christine Corba. Hello, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate being here.
No problem. And what I want to do is go into talking to her, kind of let her give a description of who she is and what she does, and then we'll start getting into the good stuff. So go ahead and tell us about yourself.
Okay, well, I have served as Executive Director of the League of Women Voters for the past 5 years. I think this position is probably one of the most interesting and most challenging roles that I've ever had in my professional career. As I said before we started this interview, I was telling you that my background is really in social services in terms of development and managing volunteers and program management. And so I was always interested in politics. Never ran for office, but helped with school board levies, that sort of thing. And I thought when I saw this position advertised, that just sounds like something that I would like to do to finish out my professional career. Right. Especially now. I think it's incredibly important that people stand up and speak out, and the League of Women Voters is an organization that allows people to do just that. So as I said, it's been the most interesting but most challenging job that I've ever had. But every single day I get to learn something new, and I get to work with really smart people. I mean, right. It's very rare when you have a job where you have a problem that you need to solve, and you can go through your list of members and say, this person has done this, and they can provide me with advice to move through this process.
So like a wide variety of people.
It's really been a very interesting journey over the past few years. So I really enjoy it.
And I want to clarify, I didn't want to make it sound like what she's describing about herself was not the good stuff. It is the good stuff, because I love her background. I've read up on her, and I am in awe of your background of what you've done. So, but what I mean by getting into the good stuff is about what you can do about voting and all that stuff. So, so I want to get into, for those watching that are not aware of League of Women Voters and can you explain who they are and what they do?
Sure. Well, the League of Women Voters of the Greater Dayton Area has been around since 1920. We are one of the oldest and one of the largest leagues in the country. We are nonpartisan, which means that we do not endorse or oppose any political candidate or party, but we are political in that we do take stands on issues, especially issues that are around voting rights. So if there is any sort of legislation or any attempts to take away voting rights, make it more difficult for citizens to vote, the League of Women Voters is going to be there to advocate for all voters. So we do multiple things. Our particular league has almost 500 members. We have men and women from both political parties, and we are united in that we want to make sure that our democracy is protected and that people have the opportunity to have their voices heard through their vote.
Okay. I apologize if I might have missed it. How many members did they start out with?
Oh, back in the day?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Well, I have to tell you, one of the really cool things about the League of Women Voters and the City of Dayton is that the League of Women, or Dayton, was really one of the cornerstones of the suffrage movement. Actually, the entire state of Ohio had so much to do with the modern day efforts that we have to protect our vote and to get the vote out. Right. We had a group of women who marched in the 1913 parade to encourage Woodrow Wilson to give women the vote. They traveled to Washington, D.C., and many of them stood in silence after the inauguration so that Woodrow Wilson would know that it was vital that women have the right to vote. And we have a photograph. I should have brought the picture of the dangerous dames, but I can get that for you. But we have a photograph of a group of women in 1913 wearing Dayton across their shirts, all dressed in white with the white hats, the whole thing. And they are among our founders. And what was really cool too, back in the day, John Patterson of NCR was one of the people that really backed the League of Women Voters back in the day. He provided us with our first office space, which was in what is now the Victoria Theater. And a couple of years later, after his generous contributions, the original founders of the Dayton League said, you know what, we don't want to have to depend upon men to fund our activities. So thank you so much for your support, Mr. Patterson, but we don't need it anymore. So they did yard sales to pay for the voter's guide, to pay for their space, to do all of those kinds of things. And one of the really ironic things is now that Mr. Talbot of Talbot Tower and his wife were staunchly against women having the right to vote. But now our offices are in Talbot Tower. And I like to think that the Talbots are kind of rolling in their graves right now, thinking all these uppity women are in our building now. So, so it's really the history of Dayton, the suffragist movement, is really fun. We had a really strong connection to the movement the whole way through until 1920, when women won the right to vote through the 19th Amendment.
It's amazing what we've had to go through with women, and what we still have to go through to this day.
I mean, I don't know if you got the chance to see Suffs, the musical, when it was here in Dayton.
No, but I want to.
I have to say, we worked with Dayton Live. We were there as a booth, and I watched that musical, and I have to say, what those women went through, they were tortured, they were battered, they were mocked, and the level of courage that those women had to fight for our right to vote was incredible. And one of the things that's really frustrating is that a lot of people just don't bother to vote now. They don't think it matters, but no idea of how long and hard people fought for the vote, for the suffragist movement, to the Voting Rights Act in the 1960s. I mean, all the way that we have fought, and now people are just choosing not to vote is just really discouraging.
Yeah, and speaking of that, that'll lead into us getting into the importance of voting. So yeah, we're definitely going to get into that. Mm-hmm. And this is especially important for the skeptics who think voting is pointless, the ones who say let someone else worry about it, all of this, the ones who are worried about, in this day and age, especially about if they vote one way or another, that it feels like their vote's going to be under attack or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. So what would you say to someone that's any of those categories?
Well, first of all, I think when I talk to folks now, we have a lot of people that are kind of apathetic about the whole democratic process right now. They just feel like it's not working for them. And why bother? There's no point in voting. My voice doesn't matter. So what is the point of getting upset about things? What is the point of educating myself? What is the point of getting out to the polls? Well, the thing is, if you're not happy about what's going on, you need to vote. That is the way that you have the opportunity to drive change. And if you choose to ignore or choose not to vote, then you're actually not part of the solution. You're part of the problem. And so that's why we really encourage people to take an interest in what's going on, especially locally. What's going on at the federal level, yes, there's a lot going on. Right. But at the same time, if you don't vote for local candidates, like your state representative, like your state senator, your county commissioners, your judges, your school boards, those are the people that are going to make decisions that affect your everyday life. And so, getting out, there's so many ways to vote. We're going to talk about that a little bit later, but it cannot be as arduous as people think it's going to be. It only takes a few minutes to go vote. Take some time to prep yourself, but only a few minutes to go vote.
Yeah, because that's kind of, I'm not even going to lie, that was part of even though I have been voting, it's it's a scary time right now. I'm just going to put it out there because you're worried about, like I heard, for example, I don't know if this was a rumor or not, but I believe it was supposed to be true, voter rolls being handed over where people, it can, from Ohio,
Yes.
being able to say
Yes.
who voted for who. And I'm like, it instills fear in people because they're like, if I vote, am I going to be under attack? Is there something going to happen to me and my family because of this? That's why I was wondering about, how would you address somebody on that part? Because there's a lot more people that I did not realize that are feeling that way.
Well, how do I answer that? It is true that Secretary of State LaRose did turn over the voting rolls.
Yeah.
With that being said, that information is public information.
Oh, so it's nothing like
Anyway,
super
I mean,
private.
it's not. There was no reason to have to do that. That was one of those things that probably, from what I understand, that was done in anticipation of a law being passed, which wasn't. So the judges then said, no, you can't do
Can
that.
you speak on what law you're talking about? Because I would love to know about, because any information I can get is...
It was all part of the SAVE Act and that
okay,
information.
okay.
Yeah. So I would say, to emphasize, though, the safety of voting, Ohio has one of the strictest identification laws in the country. Second, the state of Ohio runs audits after every single election. There was literally a 99.9% accuracy level for the state of Ohio in the 2025 election.
That's reassuring to hear. Definitely.
I mean, Ohio, Montgomery County, Greene County run really good elections. And it's important for people to know that everything is done in a bipartisan way. So, if you are at the polls, you're going to have a Republican and a Democrat there at all times for check and balance. The Board of Elections is made up of a Republican and a Democrat in each role for checks and balances. There is always going to be somebody there to make sure that there's nothing going on that shouldn't be going on. They're safe, they're secure. And we always tell people, if you have any doubts about the security of your elections, then go be a poll worker and you will witness firsthand just how careful everything is done to make sure that your vote is safe, secure, and counted.
Election integrity, yes,
Exactly.
Very, very important right now. Very important because women's rights are on the line right now. In my eyes, I've seen a lot of things being rolled back. Women that are scared, and things that have happened that affect my daughter as well. Like, when you're watching the next generation, it terrifies you. You're like, they're gonna have to go back in time and have to fight the same fights that our ancestors did, and we have to go through this all over again.
Well, and there's talk right now about women not having the right to vote anymore. I mean,
wasn't it about something to do with with the husbands or something like that? Like they wanted to have it count as a
household vote.
Yeah.
I've actually had people, one time we were out, my husband and I were out gathering signatures for Citizens Not Politicians, which was an effort to end gerrymandering in Ohio, which unfortunately did not make it as an amendment, but we were out there, gathering signatures, and I asked this gentleman, would you like to sign this petition so that we can get this amendment on the ballot in the fall? No, I'm not interested. Okay, that's fine, because, we don't push, but we just want to make that opportunity. He turned around and said, and actually, if I had the choice, I would eliminate the 19th Amendment and no women would be able to vote. And my husband just looked at me and said, did he just say what I thought he said?
Yes, he did.
Yes, he did. And so, it's sometimes it's not subtle. That wasn't subtle.
Right.
That was a pretty blatant, as a woman, you should have the right to vote. But other things that are happening right now, the League of Women Voters has declared that the United States is in a constitutional crisis right now. And the reason that we have declared that is that the checks and balances that are supposed to be in place among all of the branches of government are no longer being followed as strictly as they should be, and also the efforts to make voting more difficult. The SAVE Act has not passed.
Thank
So
God.
nothing has changed. There's still going to be efforts to try to get it passed. But that's an example of trying to roll back the ability for people to register to vote in a logical way. I mean, having women, have to prove their citizenship when men don't have to prove their citizenship to register to vote. Is it
Preaching right now, honey.
So next question.
Oh no, you're fine.
I could go on. I'm sorry.
No. I keep going because I enjoy hearing. This is a lot of information that needs to be told to people because a lot of people are very unaware of a lot of this, or they didn't take interest because they thought it was going to be confusing. I don't get mixed up with all that. No, this is something you want to pay attention to. This episode, if you're into voting, if you're into not having your rights voted away, pay attention to what bills are passing, read up on it, and get on there and find out what you're getting involved in, and volunteer, go to the polls, be a poll worker. Because I'm pretty sure, from what I've seen, they're looking for a lot of poll workers.
But
get out, stomp the pavement, do whatever you got to do to get involved because there's a lot of things on the line right now. So, but speaking about registered voters, I'm going to go with first-time voters.
Right.
What do they need to do if they're wanting to step out for the first time and vote?
Okay. So first of all, if you are 17 years old right now, and you will turn 18 by November 3rd, which is the date of the general election, you can register to vote as long as you turn 18 by November 3rd.
Okay.
And then next spring, you can register to vote at 17 as well and vote in the primary, but you'll only be able to vote for candidates. You can't vote for issues. But again, you need to turn 18, before the next general election. And what you need to do to register to vote, you need to fill out a form. You can do that online, or you can register to vote at your local library. You can register to vote at your Bureau of Motor Vehicles when you get your driver's license. You will need to provide a driver's license, social security number, and your birth certificate when you get your driver's license, right? Well, when you register to vote, you will need to provide, if you have a driver's license, your driver's license number, your date of birth, your name, your current address, where you plan, the precinct in which you plan to vote, and a signature, and attest that you are a citizen of the United States and that you will be 18 years old by the time the general election comes around. And then, if you see a League of Women Voters booth somewhere, we are happy to help you with that process, and we will take your application to the Board of Elections, and you'll receive information about where you're going to vote from the Board of Elections once that's processed. And then when election time comes, you're ready to go. And, but the thing to note is that if you want to vote in the upcoming general election, you need to be registered to vote by October 5th. Okay? And also you need to be a resident of Ohio to vote in Ohio as well. So that's another important thing.
Does that need to be for a certain amount of time?
You need to live in Ohio for 30 days to be able to vote in the state of Ohio. Yes.
Okay, now concentrating back on that part before we move to the next question, you said 17-year-olds can vote. Can you reiterate on exactly when they can vote? Because I don't want 17-year-olds showing up like, well, I can, she said wait till this date, so I want to double down on that.
Okay, so if you are 17 years old today and you will be 18 on or before November 3rd, you may register to vote and vote in the upcoming general election on November 3rd. Okay? So, and then, I don't want to get confusing, but if you are 17 next spring, all right, you can register to vote 30 days before the primary election. During that election, you will be able to vote as a 17-year-old for candidates, but you won't be able to vote for issues. So if there is a levy or a bond issue or something like that that's on your particular ballot, a 17-year-old can't vote for that, but they can vote for the person that they want to run in the general election. And then they would need to turn 18 by the general election in November in order to vote. And then
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that really clarified things for me, because when I heard you say it the first time, I don't know how to say it, like I wasn't confused, but I was like, okay, I need to make sure that if I'm going and talking to someone, I explain it to them correctly.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I appreciate you doing that.
Yeah.
Now we lead into actual registered voters that have been at it for a while, may have taken a break for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an expiration on that? Like,
Well,
yeah.
we really strongly suggest that you always check your voter registration before every election. So if you have any doubts right now that you may not be registered to vote, you can either call your Board of Elections, you can call the League of Women Voters. We're happy to help determine whether or not you are registered to vote. If people need to know that there are 2 elections every year. All right, every single year. A lot of people think there's only an election for president. Well, no,
Right.
there's elections in between there as well. If you choose to only vote during a presidential election year, and you don't vote any other time in between then, I would strongly recommend that you make sure that your voter registration is up to date. There are laws in place that prevent the Board of Elections to purge voters. If you've not voted for 2 years, you get a notification, you've not voted for 2 years. After 4 years, you receive another notification that you need to contact the Board of Elections to update any information that you may
Okay.
have. And then after 6 years, they have to wait for 6 years between the time that you last voted or signed a petition. There's lots of ways that you can keep your voter registration up to date, but voting is the best way to keep it up to date, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that part makes sense. And then you said there is not really an amount of years per se.
You should be, if you are a regular voter, you should be still registered to vote. But we are encouraging people to make sure that if you have any doubt, to check. And you can do that online. You can go to ohiovotes.gov and you can find that information.
Thank you
Or
for mentioning that,
you
yeah.
can also, like I said, call the League of Women Voters. We're happy to help you.
Okay, and we'll reiterate that phone number, but can you go ahead and give it now, and then we'll
Sure.
mention it again?
The League of Women Voters phone number is 937-228-4041.
Okay. And what is the latest information out about voter ID, and what kind of ID and documents are needed to vote or register to vote?
Okay, so nothing has changed in Ohio. With all of the information that is going on around about the SAVE Act and other issues that are going on in the state of Ohio, to vote in person. So if you want to early vote, which begins this year, October 6th, you
Okay.
can go to your Board of Elections and vote early, which is a very convenient way for folks to do this. You will need to have a photo ID. So when you go to the polls, what will happen, or you go to the Board of Elections, they will ask you for your name and to give your photo ID. So you can have an unexpired driver's license. It has to be valid, right? You can have, if you just got your driver's license renewed, and you know that piece of paper that you get until you get your official driver's license, you can use that.
Oh, okay, good.
You can use your passport or passport card. You can use your Ohio identification, your Ohio ID that you receive if you don't have a driver's license, or you can use a federal military ID.
Okay. Alrighty. Well, with talking about that, we're going to go into about the League of Women Voters and talk about why it is such an important thing, especially for women today.
Okay. Well, I'm a little biased. I think the League of Women Voters is an amazing way to, first of all, get involved and to learn about your government. We provide educational programs regularly. We have this year, in honor of the 250th birthday of the United States, we began a Constitution series to do deep dives into specifically the First Amendment this year. We had a discussion about the 3 branches of government. We had a discussion about free speech. We had a discussion about the separation of church and state this year as well.
Oh,
and
good.
so there's lots of ways for you to learn. There's lots of ways for you to be involved. You can help register voters. I just did a voter registration training yesterday for about 25 folks who are interested in learning how to register voters. We need people that can do research and write articles so that we can educate the community. We provide that with our quarterly newsletter as well as writing letters to the editor. We need folks that can, march in parades, make sure that people have the information out there to know that it's important to vote and how to vote. We'll be at the Bellbrook Parade on Saturday, and it just, those kinds of things just remind folks that it's important to vote.
Right.
We were at the Dayton Pride Parade this past June, and I'll tell you what, it is one of the most fun things about being in the League of Women Voters, and the most gratifying things is the reputation of the League of Women Voters is so amazing that when we walk past, people cheer. And we are able to get that message out to vote. There, as I said, there's all kinds of ways to. Our voters guide is going to be coming out here in the fall. That's something that we have been doing for almost 100 years, in some way, shape, or form. The Voter's Guide is available at no cost. We distribute it through the Dayton Daily News, through local newspapers, but also hand deliver about 30,000 newspapers to local libraries. Wow. The first year I was here, the truck came with 30,000 newspapers. That's a lot of newspapers.
Yeah.
It's a lot of papers. And I thought to myself, how in the world are we going to do this? Well, within a day, League members swooped into our office, gone, and out to the community within a day. It was amazing.
Right,
so
we have that kind of outpour of help. Yeah.
Yes, and that is all done with community support. We don't, the Voter's Guide doesn't cost anything. The other thing that we do as well, for those who don't get the newspaper or have access to a newspaper, is we do Vote 411, which is our online Voter's Guide. Has the same information as the printed version. People love that printed version of the Voter's Guide. They love that. But the Vote 411 is also available. It's also available on our website, lwedayton.org. We also provide forums. So we have 4 forums scheduled for this fall. We invite all the candidates who are in contested races to come and answer a series of questions. That way people have the opportunity to see them up close and personal and to ask questions later. What else are we doing this fall? Lots of voter registration. Speakers Bureau. We will come out and do programs for folks about misinformation, about how to vote, about issues that are of the utmost importance right now in terms of voting laws. We do talks on the history of the suffragist movement. Anything you can possibly imagine, the League of Women Voters will come out and do a presentation for you too.
Well, stemming from that question, what about people with disabilities, like people that may not be able to get out and they want to help from home? What
Absolutely.
kind of availability or things that can they do to help?
Absolutely. In terms of helping with the Voter's Guide, that's all done via computer, and you can do it from home very easily. As far as writing and editing and doing those kinds of things, we need help with that. We just did a postcard writing campaign to encourage people who are under the age of 25 who are registered to vote, haven't voted yet, because it's really easy to register to vote. It's another matter to actually go and vote. So under 25 in areas where we know voter turnout is low. That's an easy way to get the message out and provide encouragement to folks your vote really matters. It really counts. And so there's lots of ways that we can get people involved.
Including like phone work or something like that
Sure.
with people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And how often does the League of Women Voters meet up? And are there different kinds of meetups?
Well, in terms of meetings, we do quarterly all-member meetings where we provide information about what's going on and how people can get involved. Those are generally via Zoom. We have an annual meeting every year in May where everybody comes together to talk about what our plans are going to be for the following year. The League of Women Voters, as I said, it's made up of volunteers. And we're kind of a unicorn because very few leagues have an executive director, somebody that works there full time. We're very blessed that we have the resources to be able to have this position.
Exactly.
We have an administrative assistant who is wonderful, a bookkeeper, all of that kind of good stuff. But we try to offer opportunities when we do programs, just gather people together. We have one thing that's really fun and an opportunity to learn, but also an opportunity to meet other league members. It's called Let's Go Together, and we go out and do special events and tours of things that have to do with democracy. So, for example, the Contemporary just had a program or an exhibit on democracy. So we all went together and do those kinds of things
So
as well.
build
Yeah.
trips type
Mhm.
of thing. So with that being said, we're going to flow to members.
Okay.
I know you are looking for probably let members join, and you're always
Yes.
looking for new members. But are there any high in demand volunteer opportunities that you're needing help in?
Oh, absolutely. Voter registration especially. And the other thing is we really want to encourage younger members to join our ranks. I think one of the things, and this is not just an issue for the League of Women Voters, it's an issue for every social service agency that utilizes volunteers across the country.
Right.
People are busy. And, the League of Women Voters really, the majority of our volunteers tend to be retired because they have the time to be able to devote to these kind of activities. And one of the things that we're trying very hard to do is to reach out to younger voters or younger people who want to be part of the League and to find ways for them to get involved, like on weekends, in the evening. A lot of the things that we do provide are weekend and evening kinds of events so that people that have
9 to 5.
a 9 to 5 job, that they're able to find some way to participate. And we will always, my job is not 9 to 5. And we will always make sure that we have opportunities for people to get involved in some way, shape, or form. You can march in a parade, you can do, there's all kinds of fun things that you can do as well with the League.
Well,
That are important too at the same time. Fun
right.
and making an impact.
That's
Mhm.
very, very important. Like I said, right now, we need all hands on deck.
Yeah.
Whoever can join in, this is way too important to fight
Yeah.
for.
Well, and there is, as far as joining the League of Women Voters, again, you can go to our website, lwvdayton.org. There is a minimum request of $20 for membership. But when you join the League of Women Voters, you will receive weekly updates on what's going on, what you can do, how you can help, opportunities in the community to learn. And so we will provide you with that. And then also you have the opportunity to be not only a member of League of Women Voters of Greater Dayton, but League of Women Voters of Ohio and League of Women Voters of the United States, because we are a 3-tiered organization. So League of Women Voters of the United States works on issues that affect us all at a federal level. League of Women Voters of Ohio helps and advocates for issues that are going on at the state level. And then League of Women Voters of Greater Dayton, we advocate for the needs of folks who live in Greene and Montgomery counties and also Miami County.
That led into my next question, actually, because I was going to say, how do people, when they go to the website, find out, like, say, if they're not from Dayton and they're watching, if they want to find the local chapter, they just go to that website you mentioned?
Go to that website. You can also go to League of Women Voters US. Everything funnels through League of Women Voters of the United States. And if you have watchers right now in Indiana, I don't know. If you've got some folks that from Indiana that are watching, what you'll have the opportunity to do is to scroll through leagues that are in your area, and you can join that league.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good to know. And what is the most important issue, the issues, plural, on the ballot this fall?
Okay, well, this is an important year because we are voting for our new governor, we are voting for state senate, We are voting for Secretary of State, Treasurer, Auditor. We are voting for our congressional representative. So the United States Congress is on the ballot. Also, our state representatives are going to be elected this year. Also, we have one Senate race in our area for this fall. Montgomery County Commissioners on the ballot, lots of judges, the Montgomery County Auditor. I mean, there's all kinds of things that are on the ballot, not to mention there's school levies that are on the ballot depending upon where you live, and there will be one amendment on the ballot this year.
Okay, now you were mentioning about people going to get a chance to meet some of these people that are wanting to be voted on for the ballot this fall.
Mm-hmm. We're having forums this year.
Yeah.
We've got one that's scheduled at the Northwest Library in Dayton. We have one at the Wright Memorial Public Library that's in Oakwood, Centerville Library, and I just lost the fourth one in my brain.
Oh, no. You're joining the group over here. It is okay. If it takes you a second,
it'll come to me in a couple of minutes. But we do forums and we do meet and greets. And so a forum is actually a very structured opportunity for questions and answers. A meet and greet is an opportunity for candidates to describe who and what they are and what they're all about, and then to have candidates available to answer questions from the community as well. And then we also do recorded interviews in collaboration with DATV, where we are now. So we'll be recording those in September, and those are available on our website.
Okay, and that leads me also into talking about the website. If someone's interested in joining, they can just join online through the website, or do you want to give them the local chapter website?
Well, our local chapter website is lwvdayton.org. So LWV is in vote.
Okay.
Dayton.org. Yes.
Okay. Alrighty, now to recap everything, we've
gone through a lot.
Yes, that's been, so there are a lot of issues coming about this fall, and if they want to learn about some of those issues, they can visit the League of Women Voters website.
Mm-hmm.
Registering to vote for new voters, you said make sure they have the voter ID, which is their state ID or driver's license.
Mm-hmm. Passport card, or military ID. Yeah.
And did you say did that change of address? Is there something about the?
Yes.
Do they need any something verifying their address when they vote?
Well, that's a good question too. I appreciate having these conversations because there's always so many layers of everything that you need to do. When you register to vote, you can also use the same form to change your address. So if you have moved, or if you've changed your name, you also want to make sure that you make those updates before October 5th so that you can vote. If you don't make those updates, then you'll be asked to cast a provisional ballot, which is still a ballot, but what that will require is that when you go in to vote, you're going to have to go back to the Board of Elections offices and give them the information that they need to verify that address change or that name change as well. So that's important to do too.
I completely forgot to mention this, and I'm glad I thought about it before we ended it. The ways and methods that people can vote. Like, I know you mentioned voting in person, and if someone is interested in voting, like, I know the word and my brain went blank. Yes.
Yes.
Is that only for certain kinds of voters?
Well, so I'm glad that we're wrapping up with this information, because what the League of Women Voters wants everyone to know is that they need to make a plan to vote. All right. Yeah. So there are 3 ways to vote. You can vote by absentee ballot, and that is open to anyone, and you don't have to have a reason for requesting an absentee ballot.
Okay.
But you want to ask for that absentee ballot now so that you receive that absentee ballot as soon as possible in October. Those will be mailed out October 6th. So you want to make sure that you ask for it now. And the other thing, that there is one difference now in election law that's happened last spring. If you do choose to vote by absentee ballot, your ballot must be received by your Board of Elections on Election Day by 7:30 p.m. Okay. It has to arrive on that date. If it arrives after November 3rd at 7:30 p.m., it will not count. So if it's November 3rd, you still have that absentee ballot, take it to the Board of Elections and turn it in. You can do it at their drop box, which is outside of the offices. You can't bring that absentee ballot with you to vote, however. So if you've asked for an absentee ballot, you need to choose to vote absentee, or you will be asked to cast a provisional ballot when you go in early.
That's
okay?
what I was going to ask
Yes.
you to go into, yeah.
Yes, so you can't, that is the checks and balances to make sure that there's one vote, one person, okay? You can vote early. Early voting will begin October 6th, and you will go to your county board of elections to vote. The hours that they're open vary throughout the month of October. You can go to their website, you can call us, we're happy to help you with hours, generally between 8 o'clock and 5 o'clock during the work day. And then as we draw closer to the election, they have weekend hours as well. And then you can vote in person on election day. I personally like voting on election day. I like the hustle, I like the bustle. I enjoy that camaraderie that comes from
With
being
everybody
at your
coming out and
precinct.
voting.
You see your neighbors who are working as poll workers.
Right.
It's just fun. But make sure you have your ID with you. For your absentee ballot, the identification that you need to have is either your driver's license or the last 4 digits of your social security number, which is really great for folks that, have a limited ability to get out to the polls. For students, for older people,
Right.
with people with disabilities, absentee ballots are great. The other thing before we go to, I want to mention real quick,
we have time, so you're okay.
if you need identification, if you are having trouble getting the documents that you need to get a driver's license or to get an Ohio ID card, then there are resources out in the community that can help you with that. There's voteriders.org. Voteriders.org will help you to access the birth certificate or whatever it is that you need. I'm from Pennsylvania. When I got my real ID, the one that lets you fly, I needed to have my birth certificate, original birth certificate.
Oh,
I needed to
wow.
have a marriage certificate because I had to prove my change of name. And so those things they can be expensive. And for someone of
Yeah.
limited means, you may not have an extra
buy all these
$75
extra things.
to get all the information that you need. So Vote Riders will help with that. And then right here in Dayton, Westminster Presbyterian Church, which is just like within walking distance of the league offices, on Wednesdays, they have an open door policy. You can go in and get the information that you need to get the documentation that you need for your identification.
Okay, now with you saying that, I did notice there were other possible ways, like someone's voting, and I know this kind of digs into a different area of someone that's been through domestic violence and they need to vote, but they need to make sure their address is hidden.
Yes. You can go to the YWCA, you can go to Artemis House, I'm listing local, the Greene County Domestic Violence Center, and apply for a safe, it's safe, it's
Yeah.
a safe, I can't remember.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the exact name. But
I
know what you're-
apologize,
yeah. No,
I
you're
apologize.
fine.
But you can register for this specific program, and it will allow you to have your information
hidden so that nobody
yeah.
finds you online.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because voter information is public.
exactly.
It is
And
public.
puts the addresses
So, and
out
that's
there.
just something that people need to be aware of too. But your information is public anyway.
Right.
So, but that gives an opportunity for people who have lived with violence. The other thing that's really important to know too is that if you are unsheltered, you can still vote. What you need to do is to establish a residence. It can be, a shelter. It can be, a friend who has said, you can use my address as your shelter, and you can register to vote using that address, but you will then vote within the precinct of that particular location. So you can still vote. And the other thing to know too is that if you've been to prison, you can still vote when you are released. If you are in jail and have not been indicted you can vote while you're in jail.
Good information.
You can register to vote
Yeah.
while you're in jail. The only people that cannot vote, I mean, even if you've had a felony charge in Ohio, and every state's laws are different, so keep
Right.
that in mind. But in Ohio, if you have been released from prison, you are eligible to vote unless you have committed voter fraud or have been ordered by the courts that you're not permitted to vote.
And so that's a
But
permanent ban if they do that.
that's a
if they
permanent
do it
ban
that way.
if the courts
Okay.
have said that. But other than that, anyone who is a returning citizen is eligible to vote.
Okay, so I'm going to make sure I'm wrapping this up. Register voters first time, you said that it can be state ID, driver's license, or military ID, passport, and that's for registered voters. If you are a registered voter and it's been a little bit of time, it's always good to check online. And you said at vote.org,
OhioVote.gov.
ohiovote.gov, so you can check and make sure.
Or VoteOhio.gov. I'm sorry, VoteOhio.gov.
Well, I'll make sure I
We'll
put
have it
that
on the
wherever it's
thing.
at. Yeah. And then people that have been registered, make sure you're checking to make sure that you're still registered to vote, especially if it's been a few years.
Mm-hmm.
The ways to vote are voting in person, absentee ballot, provisional ballot if you decide you want to vote in person, and
Well, provisional ballot is only if you don't have certain information.
oh, it's only if you have certain.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Glad
So
corrected
if
that.
you
Thank
don't,
you.
if you forgot your identification, if your name has been changed and you didn't notify the Board of Elections, there are different reasons why you might be asked to cast a provisional ballot, and then you just need to go to the Board of Elections and explain that, or give them the documentation that they need.
While
to
you're going
change
over
that.
that, I want to make sure so the provisional ballot it does count. Okay.
But it counts only if you go to the Board of Elections and provide them with the information that they need to identify that you are a registered voter. Another thing, there's so much. I mean,
Right.
the other thing is too, you have your driver's license and you have your address doesn't match your voting address on your driver's license. That's okay. Okay, as long as you have that identification, and they can match your name to where your address that you say what your address is, if they can match that, then you can vote as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we spoke about people that need to hide their address, domestic violence survivors that need, and there is a way to hide your address because this information is public. Make sure you go to where you're supposed to go to and look at the interview, go rewind back, and make sure you can keep your address hidden and stay safe while you vote. Does that about wrap up everything that, or is there anything you feel that needs to be added on the recap?
Just vote.
Right.
Please exercise your right to vote. Your vote is your voice. Use it. There is nothing more precious than your right to vote. So use it.
Absolutely. And do you have any closing motivational thoughts for our voters? I know that sound like that was motivational what you just said, but is there anything you want to hammer home, like make sure you understand what I am saying, that type of thing?
Make sure you understand what I am saying.
I
can't say it any better than you.
Right.
It's just.
Especially those people that are still on the fence, like
Right.
we need something to really help them understand, like this is not, if you don't get out, like what they say, stand for something or you'll fall for anything.
I think that the things that I would tell people are, first of all, make your plan to vote, decide how you want to vote. You want to vote absentee, you want to vote early vote, you want to vote on election day. So determine that and make your plan from there. Do you need to have transportation? Do you need to, make sure that your driver's license is updated? Make sure your driver's license is updated. Check your driver's license. Do all of those things that you need to do to make sure that everything is in line. If you have any questions about whether or not you're registered to vote, find out if you're still on the rolls. Make a plan. Second, educate yourself. All right, get yourself a voter's guide.
Look up the candidates you want to vote for. Don't
Look up the
blindly vote because they're
candidates.
with the party.
Exactly. I mean, you know, you vote for people that are going to stand up for what you believe in. You vote based upon what your personal values are and what's important to you. And make sure that that candidate aligns as best as possible, because no candidate is going to align exactly with everything that's important to you. And get that information from a trusted resource. You know, that's the other thing. Today there is so much shock and awe. People, you know, you look at
campaign.
things, you look at things and think, oh my goodness, that can't possibly be true. Well, it probably isn't. So make sure that you cross-check. When you see something about a candidate, look it up. You know, because there is going to be so much mudslinging. The mudslinging has already started. And so make sure that instead of just seeing something on television and deciding, well, that's got to be true, call somebody that you trust. Find another news resource. I mean, I've had callers that have asked, you know, called and asked questions. We don't tell anybody how to vote. Of course we don't. But we've had callers that say, you know, I heard that this is what this issue is going to do. Is that true?
Right.
And what we can say is, this is what this amendment will do. This is what it says. You know, we can read the amendment to them and say, this is what is on that particular piece of legislation or the issue. And I've had people that say, well, why would they lie to me?
So that they can win the vote.
So, you know, it's really important, and that's one of the things about the League of Women Voters. We'll tell it to you. We won't give you an opinion. We will give you the facts. And then you can make your decision based upon those facts.
Right. See, that's why I was like, yeah, a lot of these slanted websites, slanted news programs, we just need one down the middle that calls it, no matter who likes it. These are the facts, and not give a slanted so that you can gain votes one way or the other.
Well, in our voters guide, we don't edit anything. It's what the candidates say. So if they spelled the word government wrong,
That's
government's going to be spelled wrong in the voters guide. And that's, you know, that's okay. What we strive to do is to make sure that you get the information straight from that individual, not from us.
That's what I love. This has been such an informative interview, and I've actually learned some things today that I did not know. So I thank you for coming on and explaining it to me and the viewers. And
there's so much more. I mean, there's so many more questions about how this all works, and that can feel overwhelming to people.
Yes.
It can be very overwhelming because there's lots of rules, there's lots of laws, there's lots of discussion. But the bottom line is, just take a look at who's running. Take a look at what the issue is. Do your homework on those people. Go to the polls. Make your decision. You can vote any way you want to vote.
Right.
Nobody's going to know. And it's, you know, if there's an issue that people on one side of the aisle tend to push, and the other side, and you happen to belong to the other side that's not pushing that issue, but you like what's going on with that issue, even though you're whatever party you're in, you're voting for things. When it's an issue that's based on what's going to be best for you and your community. Has nothing to do with party.
Everybody's so tribal about party, and it's like you may have someone from the other side that's a breath of fresh air and is literally someone that's going to fight for both sides. Yeah. So that's why you always have to pay attention and listen, and also join League of Women Voters.
Yes.
So they're nonpartisan. They're from both parties, so you can go and find out information and not feel like it's all going to be slanted one way or the other.
Yep. That is my bottom line, is that I want to make sure that people from all walks of life, both sides of the aisle, everybody has the opportunity to work together to protect our democracy. And that's what is important. That's what's important. So thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you so much for coming. And stay tuned, and we will be back next week at 7 p.m. See you then.